I'm Carol Bryant, the PR and Marketing Manager for BlogPaws, and I am here with two spectacular guests this evening. If you're watching this live, we are exactly 21 days out until the BlogPaws 2015 conference hits Nashville, and so we are getting intimate with some of our speakers. Today we are talking to Jessica Williams and Jodi Stone, and hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello, Carol.
Hi, and both of you are doing one-on-one sessions at the conference, which have sold out. It's standing room only. We do have a wait list, but what we'd like to do is get folks involved, let them know what you'll be talking about. So let's start with you, Jodi, since you're on screen, and if you could tell me who you are, what your blog is, and what you'll be talking about at BlogPaws.
Okay, I'm Jodi Stone. I blog at Heart Like a Dog. I like to call it an entertainment blog. Tell stories about my dogs, Samson and Delilah. I hit a little bit on some animal welfare topics and hopefully let them walk away with a smile on their face. So what I'm going to be doing is I have a great community at Heart Like a Dog, and I'm going to be sharing my experiences in how to engage your readers and get them to come in and comment and stay. So it's kind of like grab a cup of coffee, come hang out and chat.
That's perfect. And I know you've been blogging for a number of years. How long have you been blogging?
Almost 5.
That's awesome.
Almost 5
So
years.
I think a lot of community members know you, and if you don't, you're someone definitely to get to know. So speaking of getting to know, let's hop over to Jessica. And same thing for you, Jessica. How about a little introduction, what you do, how long you've been blogging, and what you're talking about at BlogPaws?
Okay, I'm the author of You Did What With Your Wiener, an active living and outdoor lifestyle blog that focuses on doing those things with your pet or your dog. So I try and get people excited about being outdoors and traveling with their pet and just taking them everywhere and doing fun things. And through my blog, I fell in love with communicating with people online, and in 2012, I founded Pet Talk Media, a social media and blog consulting business. Between then and now, I have gone back to school to learn more about how to do that awesome. And my session is on Facebook, and it's Connect Like Never Before and Get Growing. I'm going to help people engage more with their audience and bring more traffic to their blog.
Awesome. So I just like to say you did what with your wiener, and I like to type that when I'm corresponding with you.
A lot of people
I
do.
like it too.
Yeah, let's just get that out of the way right now. So for all you groupies out there, I'm sure you appreciate that. Okay, so you're focusing on Facebook.
Yeah.
For me and for so many people, how many times a day do we hear the algorithm's changing? It's driving me crazy. Maybe I should leave Facebook. Can you give me your initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, my initial thought is actually the algorithm isn't changing. The algorithm is the same at its core. What's changing is the little bells and whistles that are helping to fine-tune who sees what content. You know, there's a lot more people on Facebook. They have to be more choosy now, so they're finding a way to value the content differently, but at the core, it's still the same as it's always been.
So is Facebook still a viable social media platform that particularly bloggers should be engaging with?
I believe so, 100%. I mean, 71% of adults that are online belong to Facebook. They may belong to other social channels, but Facebook is kind of their home base. And Facebook skews a little older, and but it matches very well with the demographic that tends to read blogs and pet blogs specifically. You know, female, 25 to 65. You know, a lot of the income level of the people who are reading our blogs, we kind of match with what we're presenting as products and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So, all right, you're dealing with the social media avenue, and I know that Jodi, you're dealing with blogging specifically. So let's swing back to you, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what your one-on-ones will be about. You're saying engaging with your readers. Is that once they come to your blog and the engagement? Is that how to grab more engagement from folks who are out there on platforms like Facebook? Speak a little bit to that.
Sure. It's a little bit of both, Carol. It's more of sometimes when I first started blogging, I had no idea how to get people to come to my blog. So the first part of it is going to be, do you have active readers coming to your blog? Do you have people that are just coming, hitting reading and leaving, or do they stop to leave a comment? Are you hitting a point with them that makes them want to interact with you? So it's getting them to your blog, and then it's getting them to stay at your blog, interact in your blog, become part of the community, and continue to come back.
So engagement is a broad-reaching term then.
It is, and it can, you know, it can be specific for each individual person, and will maybe be depending on, I know some bloggers that they could care less about how many comments they have as long as people are sharing their posts.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I like the interaction with the people. I like people to comment. I like to know that I'm touching someone with my story, or I'm helping somebody. That's the engagement for me.
And I think one of the things that I've heard over the years of blogging is folks are reading my blog. I know they're there. I have the numbers, but they're just not commenting, or they'll go somewhere else. Now, for myself, I'll get an email, and someone will tell me what a great post I wrote. And I love it, but then sometimes I want to pull my hair out because I think, why didn't you write that on my blog? You know,
Yeah.
This really helps me. So is that the kind of thing you'll be talking about in your one-on-ones?
Yes, I mean, like, I reach out to my readers in a number of ways. So I don't really get a lot of people that email me. Most of them leave comments on my blog. But sometimes, you know, if someone says, oh, I've struggled with this, I will reach out to them myself. I will reach out to them via email, via Facebook, and ask them, what's going on? Do you need any help? How can I help you? So
Right.
I think, for me, again, it depends on what they're leaving on my blog, and the fact that most of our interaction does go on my blog. So
That's really good.
when I do get someone that does email me, I certainly respond to them, and I try to encourage them and help them however I can.
So a little housekeeping question for both of you. We're getting, and I see you probably have heard this before, but at the one-on-ones, Jessica, will you be gearing each of your talks to that person's particular questions, or is each person who sits down going to hear the same thing?
No, they'll all be very different. I'm actually going to be sending everyone who signed up an email ahead of time, kind of giving them an opportunity to ask questions beforehand, because a lot of times what I do, I have to actually look at the page for a while to make recommendations if that's what they're looking for. So I'm going to do all that behind the scenes so we can maximize our time together. I'm still working on it, but I will have kind of a tip sheet that everyone is going to get that has the same information, but the actual talking is going to be completely individual.
That's fantastic. So for people who aren't coming, or who maybe they didn't get the one-on-one with you, how about some quick tips, maybe one or two, how to keep your reader engaged on Facebook for those of us who are blogging?
So the biggest wake up for me, and I still dig my feet in sometimes, is learning that I need to post what my audience wants, not what I want. Now, I have a blog and I have a message to spread, and you're changing minds as a blogger, and so sometimes what you have to say and share isn't exactly what they want to hear, but my secret formula is 3 to 5 fluff for one ask. And an ask includes asking them to click on a link to your blog, asking them to vote on something, asking them, I don't outright ask people to leave comments, they just do now. But an ask, you give them 3 things that they like, 3 to 5 things to kind of make them happy, and then they don't feel like you're always asking them to do stuff. And so then the one time you do ask, they're going to be more likely to do it.
So do you specifically give your followers a directive? Will you say vote on this, or go read this, or is there an action verb in there that you're telling your readers to go and do?
Not always, and I don't ask them to do a lot of things. Mostly what I ask them to do is to read my blog post, but it's not literally ask. Like, I'm talking an ask, like in quotation marks, An ask is the concept of asking them to work for something.
Right.
You're putting something in front of them that takes more effort than just liking or just commenting or sharing a picture of their dog, and that's an ask. So once in a while I will say, a little lead in and say, read the blog post to find out more, but I try to give them credit that they're smart enough to figure out that they can click the link to read more.
Got it. Okay, so Jodi, on that note, speaking of clicking links and reading more, one of the things that I get questions a lot about is I am so burnt out. I've been writing. I don't know what to write about. I have an editorial calendar, but I just don't know if my readers are interested. And speaking to what Jessica said, she says, you have to give your followers what they want and not always what you really feel like writing about. Can you give me a little bit of your thought on that and maybe a piece of advice for people who have that complete blogger burnout?
Sure. I mean, I can tell you that I actually feel that way sometimes myself. And one of the best things I can tell you is to find a way to connect with other bloggers. Conference is a great thing. I mean, I was so ready to throw in the towel before I went to the last BlogPaws, and I came back and I was just like, I was floating. I mean, it was just so great to be around all of the people that had similar ideas and thoughts as I did. So that was great to be able to go to conference. The other thing I say, sometimes I'm shocked myself by the posts of mine that are more popular. So if you're really, yeah, I'm like, this is a great post and nobody comments. And then I write this little flinky thing and I get like, 50 comments and I'm like, but it really had nothing, no substance. So my suggestion would be to go back through your posts and see which ones were popular and see if there's anything that you can add to or grow from that. And the other thing is, like you said, an editorial calendar. I keep it in, I do have the editorial plug-in on my website. Thank you, Jessica, by the way. And, but I also have a blog planner. And then I like to write hard notes. I like to be able to flip back and see, like I have an idea and I write it down and then I might forget about it. So when I'm really stymied, I go back through that book and I look and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, and I can go from there.
This is interesting. I'm just going to steal your limelight for 1 second. I have a date planner, and what I've been actually using it for, and this speaks to both of you, is Facebook ideas for posts. Like I'll see something in my internet travels, and God help me, I'll put Post-it notes around, and one day my spouse walks in the office and said, you realize you have almost an entire Post-it note around your, the entire tablet was around my screen. And I thought that's not working anymore. So no matter what system works for you, would you agree that at least have some sort of a system in place, Jodi and Jessica? Yeah, okay. So Amanda Yantos, Dog Mom Days, is saying that she loves what you said, Jessica, that give your audience what they want, and My Dog Likes says good idea about the ratio of asks. And that's the thing with me. I'm finding that sometimes, and others probably are nodding in agreement, sometimes you do need to tell people what it is you want from them. I do give my readers credit, but there are times that they'll say, or I'm thinking they must not know what to do, and then I'll reword something a week later and they're doing it. Do you think that's a little bit too edgy, Jessica, to tell your Facebook followers what to do, or what's a nice way to get around that?
Be nice. That's the way to get around it. I try and say it as nicely as possible, but I would agree with you. I am shocked sometimes at the misunderstandings online. I had it come to light that some people didn't know that the little blue links within the text on my blog actually took them somewhere. So once in a while, I try not to push it, but it's kind of like a little bit of training. Once in a while, I'll say in parentheses after the link, click link to read more, kind of thing. But it's a balance, because then I'm like, I shouldn't have, I don't. There's a lot of people that do understand, and I don't want them to feel like I'm talking down to them. But I don't know. I just go back and forth, and I'm hoping that people will see the little bit that I do spell it out enough to catch up the people that aren't maybe as internet savvy.
Right, and you and I are in similar groups and things, and I know what you're seeing, and I've seen you respond to this online, is do I need to pay to boost every post? How many, that sort of thing, without giving too much of your talk away. Can you comment on that?
Yes, quite simply, never, and it depends is the answer.
Okay.
So my initial response to everybody is, for a blogger, don't boost posts. Because even the people who boost their posts regularly will tell you that when you stop then boosting posts, your reach goes way down for a while. Mine did recover. It took a month to recover to normal levels after I boosted 2 posts.
Wow.
However, it is an individual call. Not everyone is going to experience the same amount of decrease afterwards. For me, my Facebook reach is very high, so it really, really hurts to see that drop down to a fifth of what it is currently. So there are some instances, and there are some cases where a brand insists that you boost the post, and they basically won't offer you the sponsored opportunity if you don't.
Right.
You just have to use those sparingly if you know what the resulting reach drop is going to be for a while on your page.
Are you still finding that brands are very interested in the Facebook reach and likes and engagement?
Honestly, I haven't had anyone ask me specifically, but I know from what BlogPaws has said and the little bit of feedback I have gotten from brands about it, they are looking. They just may not tell you that they're looking or tell you how they feel about the results. But I do believe they are looking, keeping an eye on that.
Right, right. So, all right, so on the topic of engagement and getting noticed, Jodi, people aren't commenting on my blog. I hear this. Help me get them to comment on my blog. I know they're out there. I have a good following. What can I do?
Typically, what I've heard is to ask a question at the end of your post. So you might write a big post about, you know, off-leash dogs, and then at the end you might say something like, so have you ever had an encounter with an off-leash dog, or have you ever been one of those people that says, he's friendly? And you just want to get them to say, yeah, I have. And that would be one suggestion for it, is to leave a question so that they really feel like, yeah, I should tell her that, that that's what happened to me, or yeah, I was one of them.
Right,
So,
right.
it's, I think when you share bits of yourself, and like in my blog a lot, I'm making fun of myself and the mistakes that I make with my dog, because I want people to understand that we're not all perfect dog owners.
Right.
So, and I want them to understand that. And then when I share something silly that I did, then they're going to share something silly that they did. And I think they feel, on my blog specifically, they feel it's a safe place to say, yeah, I messed up and this is what happened.
So are you finding ideas for blog posts from comments that your readers, maybe they put a comment on one particular topic? Does that inspire you to write something else when you see comments?
Not always. A lot of my ideas come from reading other blogs.
Oh, okay.
And I read somebody's and I was like, oh yeah, I remember, this happened to me and it's a great story for me. But sometimes I have comments that are so incredibly awesome that I make a whole blog post around them.
Right, right. I'll give you both an example, and then I want to swing back to Jessica. I have an actual real life incident that happened. I found out that my good boy has a bad side. He's not fond of puppies, and I found this out because my friend came to visit with her puppy, and I might rename my dog Cujo. So, and this is something that I want to document, because you just don't know. So I think when people can relate to something and they feel like she doesn't have that perfect dog, because I don't. It's not always what it seems online. So yeah, he can bark at the mailman and drive me crazy too. So I think writing about those things makes you more real. Would you agree, Jodi?
I certainly do. I mean, I think if you go through my blog, you'll see the majority of my posts are about Delilah, because Samson is such a good dog that you really can't say, oh, look, he laid on the couch today. So, you have the naughty dog is what is getting, like they say, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. She's the one who runs the blog, because she's the naughty one. But I think it helps for people to know that, some dogs just do stuff, even though I would say I'm not the greatest dog owner. I'm a very good dog owner, but I still have a dog that can be untrained. So
There you go. Okay, so Jessica, and speaking of content and ideas,
Hmm.
where do you get your ideas for what to post on Facebook? And should a person, A, have an editorial calendar? And then how much of their Facebook experience and their Facebook presence should be reflective of their blog?
Um, so I think you're right on. It doesn't matter really what system you have. You should have a system in place. Personally, I don't use an editorial calendar, but going by my 3 to 5 to 1 ratio, like I just generally keep that in mind. And usually the photos that I post are pretty spontaneous, like we're out doing things. But I will pre-schedule ahead of time if there's content I want to share. I'm going to be honest that I don't, because of what my Facebook community wants, I don't share a lot of other people's content. When I'm sharing content, it's from my blog. So again, I stick to the 3 to 5 ratio. But let's say my blog post goes live at 11 o'clock. I schedule it to be posted to Facebook at 5 a.m. because that's the best time for me. But if I saw some content I wanted to share, let's say I want to share it next Thursday, I'm not going to write it in the calendar. I'm going to automatically just schedule it in Facebook to go live next Thursday.
So I'm going to pause you right there. What does that mean? You know that's the best time for you. That's what I'm latching onto. Is that for you the best time to post, or did you look on your analytics for Facebook?
I've looked at a little bit of analytics, but honestly, that didn't help me too much because it tells me when my audience is online, and they're primarily online between 4:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. But if I post anything after 1 o'clock, I get crickets compared to what I get in the morning. So it's just been a lot of experimentation for me. If I have something that needs to get seen, usually, and if I try and post one thing a day, and if it's that one thing is even a photo, I post it at between 4:30 and 6 a.m. In the morning, and that's just what has worked for me. But I've heard from others that it definitely varies. Some people do actually get really good engagement at 9 p.m., but that's just their audience. You have to experiment, and Facebook Analytics isn't going to tell you to that minute detail.
And let me ask you this while I have you right here. What do you think about posting where then it cross-pollinates to your other social media properties? So I post on Facebook and I'm seeing it hit Twitter or it's on Instagram, and you know, within 10 minutes I see the same post on 3 or 4 different platforms.
I don't recommend it to post at the same time. So linking the social media sites together, I definitely do not recommend. There are some cases with businesses where I've said yes, you should go ahead and do that, but for the most part, my answer is no. I'll share a blog post on Facebook and Twitter and all my social media channels, but it's at different times with different lead-in comments, with different photos. I want to give people on each social channel something a little bit different, something a little special, makes them feel special for being on there.
I really like that. I love that advice actually, because it does drive me innately insane when I see the same thing within 10 minutes on 3 different properties, and I just think, I know your dog is cute and he just went to the bathroom, so let's go on. Except if it's you did what with your wiener, and then it's really funny to say. So, okay, Melissa Clinton wants to say that she feels it's important to leave comments, and the more she's leaving comments, the more she seems to have that reciprocate. I'm going to toss this back to you, Jodi. Are you seeing the same thing? What are your thoughts on that? Because personally, I probably spend more time commenting these days than I actually do writing.
Yeah, it's a fine line of, you know, getting your writing done and commenting. I think some of your audience, once you get your audience, some of them will come back no matter what, and they're going to leave comments whether you comment on their blog or not. But there are other bloggers out there that don't comment on blogs unless you are commenting on them. I mean, for me, I have a steady, solid readership, and I can count on them to comment whether I comment on their blogs or not. Currently, I'm having trouble getting around to all the blogs that I read, so I'm still having great engagement on my blog, even if I'm only interacting on someone else's blog once a week. So I mean, I think commenting is great, and that's the initial way to help get your blog out there. and get people to notice you. But if you've got great content, I think people are going to come back regardless of whether you comment or not.
So our recidivism rate for BlogPaws conferences is really good. This year we also have in the arena of 60-some% newbies. And so what's really cool about that is it's a fresh face and it's a new audience, but I know newcomers are watching this and they're saying, how in the bleep can I get anywhere of that level? I'm so new. I have 100 Facebook followers. Help. I mean, this is so overwhelming. I'm going to ask you to give a tidbit of advice, and I'm going to bounce back to Jessica and ask for her to do the same.
And so, like when I first started, the only people that commented on my blog were my friends and family. and I actually said in one post, like, how do I get people to read this blog? And they said, well, you have to go around and comment on other people's blogs. And, you know, I see some new bloggers out there that will leave a comment that says, great post. And that doesn't make me want to go see your blog. I'm sorry. I know that might sound harsh, but when you leave a valid comment, something that is thought out, well thought out, I think that is what is going to bring people. A well thought out comment on someone else's blog is going to make them say, hey, maybe she has something to say on her blog.
Absolutely. How about you, Jessica? What are your thoughts on that? On somebody that's new and they have no idea how to, you know, it could be overwhelming. I know even some days I feel new to something and I'm overwhelmed. What kind of advice could you give a person listening that's new to this, Jessica?
Specific to social media,
yeah,
I would say pick 1 or 2 social media channels and do that really well. Really, that's advice for everybody, new and old alike. But when you're new, it's a huge learning curve and you're trying to learn a lot of things. I would tackle 1 social media channel at a time. Start with 1. Once you get a handle, somewhat of a handle on that, you can switch. You know, you can start with Facebook, then you can move to Twitter or Instagram or Pinterest. You can do, and then move to the next one. Because you can absorb all the information you're reading and really apply it and find out what works, and then do that for the next channel too. But focusing all your attention.
So I don't need to be on every social media property and trying to have 1 million followers on every one.
Definitely not.
Okay. Oh, good. Good. That's a good thing. All right. So are you both staying throughout the conference in case folks who haven't got their slot with you? Will you both be staying throughout the whole conference?
Yes, I'm coming in Wednesday evening. I think around 4 or 5 I get there, and then I'm leaving Sunday at noon. So,
okay.
and I will be available throughout the conference, so I'll be there a little bit earlier and a little later than some people too. So
awesome. How about you, Jodi?
I'm flying in. I'll be in Thursday around supper, around 5-ish, and I'm staying until Monday morning. So I say grab me if you can. Invite me to your table for breakfast or join me at my table for breakfast. I'm happy to talk to you about it at any point during the conference.
And I think you'd both agree the attendees, for the most part, I mean, I've never had a problem, are very approachable. Just in general, it's a very warm, fuzzy-ish conference for me. You ladies could speak to that because I know you've both been there. So, okay, so let me get each of you to tell me what you're working on pet project-wise at present. So, Jessica, you're on my screen. Let's start with you.
Well, recently, this internet movement has begun where people who are really into the outdoors are starting to out people who are not being good stewards, graffiti, litter, things like that on social media, and they're getting shared. I find it very interesting. And I would like to find a way to kind of push that to the next level. And so it's still in the works, but I'm thinking of developing a hashtag where you take pictures of like litter and stuff on trails and hashtag like other people's trash or something. And I also want to organize a trail cleanup party for National Trails Day in June.
Very cool. And how about you, Jodi? What are you working on, and where can folks find you?
Well, I'm a Heart Like a Dog blog, and Heart Like a Dog on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. My bigger draw is Facebook, so I'm not real good with the others. And my pet project that I'm working on now, I'm working on designing some different dog products that I hope I'll be able to market at some point in the future.
Wow, it's fantastic. You did what with your wiener.com, correct, Jessica?
Yes, and people can email me at jessica@pettalkmedia.com if you
Okay,
want
and
to
what?
email me directly.
Perfect, perfect. So I will say a little behind the scenes or here from me is if folks stay tuned tomorrow, BlogPaws has an announcement about their very special apparel that will be available at the conference, let's say, and
Ooh,
it's quite the bombshell this year. I saw a sneak peek of the t-shirt everybody's getting, and it's
awesome.
the coolest ever. So we're going to announce that tomorrow, and we have a special Instagram contest going on, so there's so much happening. I'm just so thrilled you both came tonight, took time out of your busy lives to
Thank you
talk to
so
us.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks.
absolutely. And we will see you both in 21 days and counting.
Yay.
21
Thanks,
days.
ladies.
All right,
Take
thanks.
care.
All right.